September 5, directed by Tim Fellbaum, is now available on VOD. This had a very short theatrical run, I feel like. Did not get a ton of publicity. It stars Peter Sarsgaard, John Magaro, and Leonie Benesch. I believe I'm saying her name correctly. Fellbaum is also a co-writer on this. He received a screenplay nomination for Best Adapted Screenplay. September 5 is based on the Munich massacre that occurred at the 1972 Summer Olympics in Germany. However, it takes place fully from the perspective of the producers of ABC, as they were the ones that they were the only ones that were basically airing live coverage of the hostage situation as it was occurring. In terms of reviewing this, I think this movie is totally fine. I think it is incredibly watchable, easy enough to digest given the source material, and kind of down the middle, I would say. I would describe this movie as a fastball down the middle. It's totally watchable, doesn't really insult anyone, I don't think. It doesn't have to... I shouldn't say have to. It doesn't answer any tough questions. It doesn't ask any tough questions of its viewers either. And maybe that's part of the point, where it doesn't really seem interested in having to answer questions regarding the ethics of journalism and producing live content, basically. You know, what can and can't and what should or shouldn't be shown on live TV. And it also doesn't really get into any politics of Israel or Palestine or anything like that. It doesn't want to, and it doesn't really feel like it has to either, in my opinion. Movies like this used to come out pretty frequently, I feel like, back in maybe like the 80s or 90s, where you just want a thriller based on, true or even not true material, where we're just watching guys from a different perspective than kind of what you would expect. And they're just kind of making tough calls in the newsroom and being good at their jobs. And that's all well and good. And I think that's totally acceptable. Like this movie doesn't have to have all the answers. It doesn't have to ask tough questions. There's plenty of political movies that will make you ponder your viewpoints in life, politically and non-politically. And a movie like September 5 is not asking you to do that, nor do I think it has to. The performances in this are pretty good all the way around. I would say they are, at best, really, really good, including John Magaro, who has really been popping over these last few years. I don't think anyone is better right now at quiet tension within himself, where on the inside he is just like screaming at the top of his lungs and ready to explode. Between this and Past Lives in particular, it's very impressive to watch him downplay basically everything that's going on, but at the same time, you don't really notice how well he's holding it together. You can just tell that this man is just filled with tension at all times, and he plays it very well. I think Peter Sarsgaard is fine in this. I would say he is at best forgettable. He's just kind of being there and being Peter Sarsgaard. Leonie Benesch is playing the kind of the German translator that ABC has on standby, and I think she's very good. There are a couple scenes where you're getting some sexism kind of in the workplace at ABC, and I think that stuff is handled pretty well in the movie. I like the way that she plays off of it, but I think it is a very surface level, which again, I think is fine. It's allowed to be surface level, because it's not hammering home any specific point other than like, yeah, look at all these idiots being, with their biases and their sexist viewpoints towards her. And I think it does an okay job of showing that these are not perfect people making imperfect decisions. I think ultimately this movie is totally acceptable. It's certainly nothing special. Like, this review is only going to be like 5-6 minutes long. because I don't really think this movie has a ton to say. I don't really have a lot to say about it. It's good. At one point, this was like the runaway Best Picture frontrunner, like a handful of months ago before it came out, and everyone was just like, "Oh, it's fine, whatever." And yeah, I just think it's fine. Like movies like this are totally okay to exist. Like this could easily have been like a cable classic if this came out in the 90s or so. Maybe this will be like a streaming hit, I imagine, once it gets put on streaming. Right now, it's just available to rent on VOD. But I could see a lot of people watching this once streaming comes out. It's only 90 minutes. This thing gets in and out. Not long. Obviously, like the subject material is heavy, but the kind of like the fast pace and the tension that the characters in like the newsroom are the way they're playing this doesn't let you sit with the reality of the situation. You're more situated with what their decisions are going to be in the newsroom and in the producer's room. So it makes it much more watchable, which I think is a smart choice if this is the type of movie you're going for. I think Feldbaum pretty much nailed it from a directing standpoint. I think the script is totally acceptable. I wouldn't call it a worthy Oscar nomination, but it's a good script. I don't really think there's anything wrong with this movie. So that's it. Watch September 5. I think it's totally acceptable. In and out in 90 minutes. What more do you want from a thriller about, you know, a good story that does make you think about some journalistic questions, but ultimately isn't really interested in answering too many of them, but is kind of just there for a thriller, and that's exactly what it is. So that's my short and sweet review of September 5. I recommend go watching it because it's a good movie, totally acceptable. And that's it. I'll see you in the next movie review. Goodbye.